Navaratri series every year brings various perspectives, and one of the perspective which is most critical for any young professional to grow in organization, or for even inspiring kids who want to at some point in time want to build up something part, people who are aspiring to build their careers in corporate, is the things that they can do around something called as human resources. One of the very important part in the organization, often taken in very different perspectives, sometimes creating a huge contribution, sometimes creating a roadblock. So today we have somebody who has facilitated many transitions over her career, has a very successful career in the corporate, and now is helping multiple organizations build the same capabilities to go to next level. It's a privilege for me to have Jyoti joining us today. Jyoti, thank you so much for taking out time and joining us today.
Thank you so much, Charu, for inviting me for the session.
We would like to start by understanding what has been your journey so far.
Yeah, so my journey spans more than 40 years generally as an individual who comes from a middle class family. Always wanted to do multiple aspects in life, not really just either stick to studies, but more of wanting a balance, not really wanting to push myself in all directions all the time. So whether it was sports to studies, uh, never actually had an ambition for becoming the topmost student, etc. So more wanted to have fun in life, to be honest. That was always, and I think it's still it's still something that drives me. Say I want to have fun with what I do. So yes, schooling happened. It was fun, leading some initiatives, being the sports captain in your school. Uh, College again, wanted that exposure of life in general rather than just being books, and got to work with different committees in the group. Sports committees, again, sports was something that I was attracted to. uh, Learned a little bit of leadership as well in that bargain, because you have to work with colleagues and get them to be aligned to purposes that you want them to drive towards. And then MBA, and then I kind of landed my first job with Boots Piramal. That time, it was in 2006. I was still in my fourth semester of my MBA. We had a Saturday, Sunday. So I said, good opportunity. Why not explore some experience? Uh, Joined as like a temp and just got into the system within 5 months. So that was a great movement. And that journey continued for 17 years. I became a part of the Piramal group, and it was amazing. So let me talk about a little bit of more about what was amazing about it. I joined a JV, which means two leaders figuring out. Again, the JV had its own construct where Boots had sold its business globally to Reckitt, and that meant the JV is always in a space. So engagement of people, keeping them aligned, became important. And then we became a 100% subsidiary of Piramal, which meant that this is a consumer products business, which is a more OTC or over the counter, becoming part of a larger ecosystem, which is pharma. And they are focused on doctor calls, you are focused on retail calls. They don't understand what you do. And one of my initial starting point was actually making people understand what we do is different from what they do, and genuinely different. Because when I used to talk to my HR colleagues, they would be like, "How many doctor calls a day?" And I'm like, "We don't do doctor calls," and that meant ensuring the ecosystem. I was really blessed because I got mentored. I was mentored by business heads. Uh, in addition to the HR heads, because there was nobody else who could understand the business better than my business heads. I also became part of the integration team. So I was only one probably in the HR team that time to actually ensure that we become an part policies, etc. So I almost became a go-to person in the ecosystem that will say, Jyoti, tell me this policy, and I would know. And I think that is still something is very important for HR folks. Like, please know what your stuff is, right? These are some things that I really learned probably over a period of time, gradually saying that, okay, this actually makes a lot of sense. But we took this opportunity to change, update, doing the banding system. How do you see yourself in the ecosystem? I did have some goof ups, but I had leaders who knew that I was learning and delivering on the job, and they actually backed me. So having a backing in the ecosystem where your leaders are giving you that space to explore, as well as then supporting you and guiding you, is very important. That again, that I learned in the ecosystem, helping the expansion plan, putting processes, moved, like I said, 17 years was with one group. uh, I never felt the need to really change because I had a lot of diversity in the same group as well. So I started with my consumer products business. I moved to corporate. Within corporate, I looked at a lot of initiatives. I worked with the CHROs directly to drive initiatives. And then I moved to another business called as in the financial services space, which is called as Primal Alternatives. Now, if you look at a journey, I don't think so. Someone in the market, had I just been looking for a job in the market, I would ever get picked up to move from a consumer products business to something in the alternatives.
Yes.
That's the kind of diversity I enjoyed, and it is genuinely a lot of different space, from managing 500 to 600 employees at one time to managing only 60 employees. But the kind of quality is different. Then the needs are different. The challenges are different in terms of attraction and retention, and that gets you to really unlearn and learn. So that
Agree.
has been another driving force. So whenever people ask me saying what is it that you bring, I always talk about adaptability, because you have to unlearn to learn. You cannot say, okay, I just pick up and this piece will fit. It actually doesn't. I also did a 6 month stint with Pyramid Reality. Again, another journey of unlearning and learning depending on the industry, the life stage of the business, more like a startup. How do you do? What are your business challenges, and hence what are your HR initiatives? So I think a lot of that really shaped me to become what I am. And yeah, today I am now in Bangalore, and I work as an independent consultant. I work in broadly four themes, streams of work. So, one being helping organizations with HR initiatives, whether it is setting up practices to processes specifically in certain organizations. Somewhere I've also got into further specialization is understanding the performance management and helping people set up that process specifically. However, I also work as fractional CHROs in certain organizations. So that's one piece. Second, very passionate about inclusivity, women in leadership, and empowering managers, because that's what happens. People leave organizations because of managers and not because necessarily only organizations. So initiatives of facilitation in women in leadership and managers is something again I'm passionate about. I also do assessment. So I'm a certified Hogan assessor, DISC assessor, competency assessor. So that's where I spend my time. And last is coaching, which again I'm very passionate about. And the reason I call coaching last is it's exactly on the other dimension. When you talk about on one side guiding or mentoring and setting up, to the other dimension saying let people explore for themselves, and you be just a partner in questioning them. So yeah, so this is the dimension that I operate in, and thoroughly enjoying my stint. This is my first year. I've completed a year in my uh, self led journey, and it's amazing, and I'm having fun. So yeah, that's a quick short summary of short or long summary about me and my journey so far.
That's a very enriching journey. Going across different businesses, you spoke a lot about the adaptability and how things happen. Give me some examples of how things have really moved because people need to understand how things really change.
Oh yes, I'll give you a few examples about one, how things have changed, and second is sometimes when you're pushing for certain move, it may seem to be like, oh, why are we doing it, but it just helps in the long run. So, 2015 is when I was also responsible to take care of some policy changes that we wanted to initiate. And in 2000, somewhere around 2015, 16, we actually implemented 2 days work from home. And there was hue and cry about it in the organization. Of course, it was a a big welcome from many employees, but some managers and leaders were really upset about it. Uh, Two things we could have done better: a little bit of prep, because not everybody had laptops. There were some teams which is still working on desktops, and then they were like, how can we do it, etc. And eventually we migrated, because it was part of the plan that eventually everybody will have laptops, so that worked. And a lot of there were a lot of education that needed to be done. So let's talk about the education. So there was one education where the manager kept saying that, oh, now people will just go on a holiday, this seems to be paid leave. And then we had to educate, saying, look, you are the manager, you have the right to, or you are in that right space of saying and educating your team members, saying this is not paid leave, this is work from home. Let's go back to why we are doing this. So again, coming back to the purpose, saying that why are we doing this? We are trying to create an environment where we are balancing employee needs with organization needs. And we all know that there have been occasions where people have been on leave, but they've been working.
Yes.
So we want to give that flexibility. We've seen mothers who wanted to be, and let me not limit it to mothers, parents who wanted to be at home when their child is in the crucial years of 10, 12 TY. And they don't have to really teach the child, but they just want to be there so that they know that they are adhering to the children are disciplined. Now, actually, during these situations, I can work from home. Of course, this is not for you to go and watch a movie, right? And and we did come across some scenarios like that. That someone's like, oh, I dialed in, and that's where the education happened. And we kind of said, let's experiment this, let's pilot it for a few months. If it doesn't work out, we're happy to revoke, which meant then people have to be responsible about it. And slowly it it became a norm, where people were comfortable with this space, and managers would educate. As HR also, we would get down to educating in such spaces. And when the COVID happened, on a genuine note, our organization did not have real hiccups, because we were tuned
Right.
to
Yes.
this aspect of working. People knew how do I log into SAP remotely. Managers knew how to manage. We didn't have Teams, so WebEx and other aspects. So we genuinely did not face so much of an issue, because something like this had rolled out then. So that's one aspect of adaptability. How am I listening to employees? What is the scenario, and how are we giving that flexibility? And to date, some of our businesses actually continue to give this flexibility even after we are not a 100% work from office yet. And that's where people also get attracted and join us. Not from a view that, oh, I don't want to travel on a Friday, but like, okay, I may have needs and I may need to take care of it. So that's one example of adaptability that I could share. The second aspect of adaptability that I wanted to talk about is, uh, like I said, unlearning and learning. When you move to different businesses at different life stages, it's very important to understand what is our vision, where do we want to go, where are we right now, and hence what are the steps we need to take to move there. And the adaptability, like I said, in my first business aspect, I I was more of a business person, business HR person, a lot of feet on street on in the team, very OTC business, and you're just dealing with more volumes as compared to, and managing the attrition, churn, what are your projects, initiatives. But when you move to corporate, one is you start seeing that, okay, I can't think of only one business now. I'm looking at three businesses from a policy standpoint, and that was a challenge. We had a glass business which is 30 years old. Okay. A business which is in the pharma, which was again a 25-year-old business, a financial services, which was like a 5-year-old business, and all industry dynamics are different. So, how do you then either, what is that binding factor that you want to keep? What is that string that you want to hold them together with, but still allow them to come with their own shades and colors and, shapes? So, that's something that I learned during this entire aspect when we were looking at the policy. And then when you move to financial services, again, completely different sector, where you only hire from the top tier one, tier two colleges. you are not tier 1, 2, tier 1 plus and tier 1 colleges. Now you have to make sure your presence is felt in the market, in that space. Why should people come? So where I would have otherwise been, in that sense, a talent attractive magnet in one business, I had to start fresh. My strategies had to be different. I cannot say I will go on a day 4 to this campus. I had to be on day -1, and I'm competing with some global leaders. Now, how do I change my strategy? And these were some institutes I'd never been to. Like, we never tried that before. So now you have to start ensuring that you're trying to build. And how do you adapt? And my strategy around adaptation is not always that you have to change yourself. Who are there around you? Who are the people that you are gathering yourself with? How are you leveraging? How do you know their strengths? How are you leveraging them? Is again something I learned over a period of time. And I think the team makes a big difference in terms of how you deliver. So getting the right people around you was another aspect, and a key mantra of adaptability to success is something I would want to share as an example.
That's very important because the getting that right set of talent around you is very critical. The other aspect, Jyoti, I want to discuss is that while you get that kind of a talent, and sometimes you tend to build on that particular talent, but if the middle level management or the senior management is not willing to change, somewhere these people tend to hit that ceiling and then step away, and organization as such fails to get the results from the same set of individuals because somewhere feel that they are constrained and then they just step out.
Yes. Let's look at two scenarios, and I'll just play these two scenarios, which I experienced both. So, one scenario is genuinely where you have high potential talent wanting to do more, and what is the ecosystem then you create around it? So, one, as managers and as HR, somewhere we focused more on saying, let's understand the strengths, let's draw a path for this individual. And the minute we have a path, at least let's push people to understand what is it that we can offer, and understand from them what is their ambition. So you need to match both. So we had initiated a talent review process in the organization. Again, credit to some of my colleagues where they designed, and I also helped co-create some bit, and then we implemented. So, so the idea is to first understand the ambition, understand what as an organization we can offer, and then keep questioning, saying, what is it that we have not really experienced about this individual yet? Because you know the gap between where you want them and where they are now in a discussion. And the focus should always be on saying, okay, what is it that we have not experimented with this person or given an opportunity, rather than saying, oh, he or she doesn't know this or they don't know this. Uh, and focus on that, and then link the learning towards it, saying, okay, if we've not experimented or given this additional responsibility, can we give this in this year, in the next 6 months, and see how the individual is performing? If we feel that they're doing well, why not? We know we've moved an inch ahead. If not, then what is the formal training or mentoring that needs to be provided so that they grow? So, having said that, yes, you will come across some people who are very ambitious, and probably they feel that the pace at which they want to grow is much faster than what you are designing for them. uh, in some cases, you will also have to look at your cultural context in mind, and in some scenarios, I know that we still allowed them to promote, or we had dialogues with them saying what they really need to do to reach there. It was never wait for XYZ years, or you have an entitlement around it with years, but more about saying we need to see you exposed in this scenarios, and that's where we will be able to do. And if there were people who really wanted to grow much faster and we couldn't provide, we were happy to even let them go. uh, let's understand why. One, if you just keep giving false promises and just keep them around, they will become the most disengaged employees. And that's not something that you want to do to an individual. Forget the organization, to an individual, where I'm giving you false promises saying, no, no, we will do it because you're doing well, but but you're not 2 years, because then that's not something they're convinced about. And uh, it's bad to just cut the feathers for an individual. In some cases, we could say that probably we're not in the right space. And why don't you move to a place? And they when they decide to move to a place, I think you should allow them to go, because that's where they will also be open then to come back when you feel as an organization you're ready for them. And we do have people who have, in my past experience, who've come back saying this has been an amazing experience. And probably after you see a little bit of life, you also want to, you realize something that you probably have taken for granted. People do come back, or may at least express the need to come back. So that's important. And then you will have people where in organizations, people, you're pushing them, nudging them continuously, but they don't want. And then have a good open conversation, then that means that that's a growth. Or you are kind of in many ways saying that you don't want to grow. Then you should not feel upset about your colleague being promoted, because and you should be cheering for them, because that's what they have signed up for and you decided to sign up for not. But then these are calls that as leaders also that we need to take. So a lot of conversation from an HR perspective happens with leaders and managers around this. One myth that we all have is, because you're a manager, it's obvious you will understand this. Because you are a leader, it's obvious you will understand this. It's a myth. Somewhere as HR, we will need to educate. We will need to have conversations and sometimes debates, or they say, let's play out the scenario for us. This is something I learned from one of my leaders, where this leader would never push his or her his uh, opinion on the individuals, but we would always play out scenarios. And that is the way he would facilitate us to come to a solution. It was not necessarily his solution, but at least he ensured that we thought through the solution, and it was not something that happened. And then as a team, we owned it. So that's something I kept using with other leaders. So that really helps. But like I said, there's a lot of learning, or I would say focus that we need to do with managers and leaders when it comes to people practices, because we all have been promoted predominantly because of our technical abilities. And people would have come through different genres of life, doing different things, whether it's engineering, etc. These all teach you predominantly to be excelling in your technical skills. The human aspects, or the connection aspect, the relation, the human aspects are not either necessarily taught, or we all take it for granted, right? I was talking to a professor and she mentioned that, this organization behavior class, you have the least students. And after 3 years or 4 years, these students will say, oh, ma'am, we should have attended your class. But, that's where the dynamics come into play, because that was not important then. And hence, there has to be, every organization needs to ensure that while they are taking care of the technical aspect with managers and leaders, they need to keep ensuring how are they updating them in the human aspects in any organization. That's my suggestion.
So having such a huge canvas to play, right, wherein you worked for 17 years, all of a sudden starting on your own, how did it feel?
So one of my toughest decision in life was to quit the organization that I worked in for 17 years. Honestly, I was thoroughly enjoying that space. And what I really liked about my organization was we I had a lot of autonomy. And it's not about me, it's also about the organization culture. There was a lot of autonomy. I had amazing leaders because I learned from my leaders. I learned from my leaders, and they were willing to listen. uh, and for someone who is very strong on contribution, having a other side being receptive to ideas and giving you space for implementation is a big high, if I have to just simply share. And there were these great points, and I was doing very well for myself in the organization, and I love to be that global citizen because I just knew everybody around, and it helped me to get a lot of work done as well for the organization. I had to move to Bangalore for my personal reasons. and that had and that's where the decision came that I had to finally quit the organization. Yes, work from home, but I felt that this would have somewhere not really met my personal needs, even the move, and hence I thought it's always good to then leave on a high rather than feeling bitter about anything in the future. So I quit. I still served the organization as a consultant for 4 months, and that's where I realized that when I'm moving to a different city, I said this is my best opportunity to start something on my own. Otherwise, I will go back to just being an employee. If I've got a life opportunity to start looking at a new location, why not a new enterprise? I also, in the first 3 months of my independent space or relocated space, uh, try to say, okay, let me try this, if not. And then I just reflected back and I realized if I am sailing on two boats, then I'm not attracting either of it. And I made a very conscious decision to say, no, I'm just going to be an independent consultant and that's it. Because that's when I know then I will put all my energies to get things my way. Whether it is keeping myself out, and there's a lot of learnings because I always say, as a corporate, you don't need to ask for work. There's always more work. But the minute you move to the other side, is you start with saying, I will do the work, but where is the work? Right? You have to go and ask for work. And in some cases, I will not say sell yourself, but talk more about yourself, which is not something that naturally comes. And uh, whether it's also to do with sometimes naturally doesn't come because you're a woman, you be always taught to be humble, and a lot of our own myths and upbringing, the notes that we've heard. So how do we break out of that was very important. Networking was again something, and whatever you do, you can't just sit home and figure out. So some of this became part of the journey, but yes, my predominant aspect was, if I have received so much of autonomy, etc., and I want to continue, maybe being independent. And I could see that there were many organizations where I could support, or there was an ecosystem where I could provide my services. I always, like I said, since childhood, I've never wanted to be caged under one space. I wanted to have that space, like I said, the four elements which are core to me. I wanted to keep operating in that, and I felt being independent really helps me nourish these elements about myself, and probably I can create a far broader impact. That's been my vision in starting my own enterprise.
Amazing. The coaching aspect that you work on, you're also contributing to Catalyst. So, would like to understand a bit more about how the journey with Catalyst has been.
So this is my second year with Catalyst, and it's been amazing. So just to quickly let the audience know about Catalyst, Catalyst is a initiative which is to empower women, especially women or young girls in colleges who really come from backgrounds which probably is not the most privileged background, but they are fighters. And the program actually enables them to have a mentor who's from the ecosystem, from the industry, so that they keep getting receiving the guidance time to time, and they can actually be a better version of themselves. And that's the clear idea about Catalyst. And I'm so proud to be one of the mentors with the Catalyst. I have been mentoring two students, and the life journey that they have been through is nothing. Uh, I don't think so. I've really gone through hardships as much as they have, but they're really fighters. I like the aspect that most of them bring to the table is about, I want to excel. So that's the first thing. Second, many people have relocated themselves for studies. There are women who have been the first in the family to study, and move to a hostel, become an independent person, managing their finances, managing the expenses, working on projects, studying in vernacular medium, and then moving to English, and now want to make a space in the corporate. That means that you have to really buck up with your communication, and then managing your confidence around it. What happens, what if I don't? So that's been the journey. And it is more humbling than and more fulfilling than, most of the other journeys, because you're genuinely trying to create an impact, and by not, and just like I said, it's not about saying, okay, we'll teach them something. It is just about getting them to be a better version of themselves, because they have it in them. It is just about, how do you just keep polishing. So that's been an amazing journey, and I love to keep connecting with them, and I'm looking forward to more spaces of catalyst and, empowering women.
Amazing. Would like to conclude this conversation with a specific message from you to the young professionals who are looking at building their career in the industry. What would you advise them?
So, for the young folks joining the industry, or probably already in the industry, always start with one thing: is what do I have to offer? We always start many times with the question saying, what will I get? But if you start with the statement about what is it that I have to offer, and then of course you can continue it saying, what is it that I have to offer that nobody else is doing? Uh, that will be a great starting point to a career. And if you keep just having that mantra, it will lead you to a lot of success. Reason is, when you look at this question, it is not, it's more internal. Okay, and you are then working on yourself continuously. This will push you to keep ensuring that you are updating yourself, you are updating your skills every time, and you become the magnet then. That means the minute you have something to offer and you can then share it with people and you're demonstrating it, you will automatically be picked up, and people will ask you the same question, saying, what can I offer to hire you, or what can I offer to retain you? So focus more on what you can do with yourself. The environment will become incidental in that case. So that's the first thing I would want you to always focus on, saying, what is it that I have to offer, and what is it probably that I'm offering that nobody else is. uh, Work on that, work on your craft. The environment will ensure that you get what you need.
Beautiful. That's an amazing message. Very simple, but the most effective one that you can do. What is it that you can offer? Amazing. Thank you, Jyoti, for your time and these amazing insights. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me here, and best wishes to people for the festive season, and great opportunity to just become a better version of yourselves. Thank you so much.